Okay, welcome back to the Leave It Here podcast, the podcast that exists to normalise talking about mental health and feelings in general. And this podcast is a bit of a full circle for Feel Good Club. Feel Good Club started with my own experiences with my mental health. I was struggling with an eating disorder and realised that I needed to channel that negative energy into something positive. So Feel Good Club was born. And now we just exist to make one person feel good about themselves every single day and try and talk more about mental health because I think that's really important. Sure you'll agree.
I agree. So as Kira mentioned, the aim of this podcast is to show people that just because you have your dream job, just because people influence you, doesn't mean they no longer have struggles. People still have bad days. So this podcast is here to show you just that.
So if you've watched the first couple of episodes, you're probably thinking, where are they? Have they won the lottery? Have they robbed the bank?
Bougie, right?
We've got a new set for this episode only. We are partnering with the incredible Manchester City.
Actually can't believe it.
And we've
Best
got
team in the world, obviously.
big fans. And we have got two incredible guests joining us today. We've got Lauren Hemp, MBE, and Alanna Kennedy. Welcome to the podcast.
We're secretly fangirling, I won't lie.
Yeah, internally
Big time, big time.
How are you both doing today?
Very well, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Very good.
Thanks for having us.
You're very welcome. Thanks for joining us. You're busy people. So we'll get straight into it. So obviously we just said about the podcast is all about normalising talking about mental health. But I'm really interested to know from both of you, how do you find it easy to talk about your mental health? Or is it something that is quite difficult to do?
I think it's always a subject where people are a bit apprehensive to speak about things. I know that I probably aren't the most open about my mental health and how I'm feeling. I don't always check in with myself every single day. I sort of just try and get on with things and not really focus on that side of things because I get caught up too much in it. So I feel like, I'm not speaking on behalf of everyone, but for me it's something that I'm not always confident to speak about. But then when I end up speaking about it, it makes a lot of difference.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you go from it's like burnout stage and then you'll talk about it? Because I do that a lot. I'm kind of like, I know something's not 100% right, but I've got this to do and I've got this shoot to do and I've got this game to play, so I'll just wait to the end. And then by the time I sit down, I'm like, oh, I'm exhausted. Like, do you think it'd be better if you did check in a little bit more throughout?
Yeah, definitely. I'm one of them people who sort of put things off with whatever I'm doing, whether that's like having to send an email or having to sort something out. I always leave it to the last second and then I'm like, oh God, missed the deadline. So yeah, it's the same with mental health as well. I feel like it's always until you feel like you're properly struggling that you then sort of reach out and realise, but I feel like as I get older, I'm getting better at it as time goes past.
Yeah, I'm a little bit similar. I tend to, once I've dealt with what I was going through, I feel a little bit more comfortable talking about it afterwards and reflecting on maybe what I could have, or what I was going through and who I could have reached out to. And yeah, I think for me, probably something I want to do a little bit better is actually just reaching out during the times that when I actually need someone to help. But yeah, I always tend to kind of push it aside. And there's certain I guess environments, like when you're in a training that you put on where you have to be a certain person, and so that's something you sort of push to the side a little bit. But yeah, I think we have, you have those environments where you feel comfortable around people, and it's something that we're trying to do is normalise and our mental health and checking in on each other because it's so important.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I don't think I only really started thinking about my mental health. And mental health to people means different things. Like for me, it's more checking in, self-care, like making sure I'm okay. I don't think I really did that until we started the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we started the brand, I was like, oh, this is pretty normal to do this. Like, it's pretty normal to sit down and like journal, or when I'm in the bath, like actually think about what I'm thinking. Because you do just go through like autopilot every single day. And I think the older I'm getting, the more, like you're saying, Lauren, like the more older I'm getting, the more I'm realizing like how important it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like looking back when I was a child, like I don't remember my household talking about mental health or how we both, like my parents are quite like open and like tell each other that you love each other, but it was kind of surface level.
Mm-hmm.
Like what was it like in your households growing up? Did you think normal like mental health was something you really spoke about? Or?
No, not in those terms,
Yeah.
mental health. It was, how are you doing? Or very loving. Like I was, I'm very lucky that the same with my family. We tell each other we love each other all the time. But yeah, it's not until probably for me I've experienced a few things over the last couple of years of being away from family where you really, I I think my family checks in on me a little bit more now, because we have had those conversations of like, oh, I struggled with this, and sometimes it is in hindsight. But now we're trying to actively do it a little bit more. But yeah, definitely, when I was younger, it wasn't a case of, coming home and having people check in on your mental health, actively doing that. So yeah, I think steering the conversations and that to being something that's a little bit more normal now for kids growing up is important.
Yeah, because that was something I was going to ask. You're far away from home, so do you have like a base here? And like, I guess your football team is that like you're super, super close. Like for us, our football team, we're like a little family. Do you talk about it within the team? Do you think is it something that you can all talk about if you're having bad days?
I think, like, obviously, I feel like being part of a team, it's so much stronger than certain other workplaces and things like that, because we literally spend every day with each other, and I feel like the connections you make in football are maybe stronger than some of the others you do. And I left home at like 16, so obviously away from your family. Like, I still speak to them every single day, like to check in on them and things like that. And like, I've got best mates here at City that I still meet when I'm on my off day because I can't get enough of seeing them. And so I feel like them sort of connections you have, it makes you feel more comfortable every single day seeing them. And like, if you ever need someone to lean on, then they're always there for you. And I feel like it's the same for a lot of our team. Like, we've got such a good connection with everyone in the squad. I feel like you could turn to anyone and be like, you know what, I just need someone today.
That's amazing.
When I think about that, like, obviously, you've got Matildas, you've got the Lionesses, you've got City, you come from Australia. Like, when you go from like team to team, is it like starting school? I always imagine, like, do you know when you go into school? I went to like 5 different schools growing up. We moved all the time, and I dread like going into like from year 6 to year 9, and then meeting a whole new class, a whole new lot of set of people. Like, are people going to like me? Do you get that when you change your football team? Or
Yeah, well,
because it is like you said, it's like best
No,
friends,
no.
isn't it? Like, oh,
Yeah,
am I
there's-
going to be fit in type thing?
Yeah, I think, women's football is a very small world. So
Yeah.
there's usually at least a couple of people, or at least one person that you'll know, which always helps to
Hold
have
on.
to have a familiar face. Or I think when I signed here, I had Hayley, like another Aussie. So that's always nice. But yeah, it is. I always feel like you've obviously been signed because you're a good footballer, but almost like the first session you're thinking, oh my God, like I got to make sure I like connect this pass. And like it is a little bit, I think for me, it's more the social side I find a lot easier. It's more like putting the pressure on yourself to perform or to do the job that you've been signed to do.
Yeah.
rather
What's it like
than the
that day
friendships.
when you actually get signed and you turn up? Like, I'd be
Oh,
riddled of anxiety.
I find it so scary. Like, I hate change, and I feel like I'm such like a shy person that's the thing I'm most worried about. I'm like, who am I going to speak to? Like, who am I going to pass the ball with? Things like that. Instead of worrying about what I'm actually going to do on the pitch, I think of everything away from that.
I am the
That's
exact
mad,
same
isn't it? That
person.
you're
Yeah.
like, you're going to play these huge matches, these huge games, and they're the things that you think about. But I guess that just shows how human you are. Like, no matter like what job it is that you're doing, you still overthink and question like the small things of like connections between people. But just to pull on what you said before, Lauren, like being 16 and leaving home and having to go and start, like, you're starting a career, like what was that like for you? Did that feel like a lot of pressure, and how did you cope with like leaving home so young?
Yeah, like, I felt like there was a lot of pressure on me. Like, whenever I used to go away on like football tours when I was younger than 16, I literally used to call my mum every day and be like, I want to come home, I hate it, and things like that. And so then I didn't really think about it when I ended up leaving, obviously, how hard it was going to be. And it was difficult to begin with. Took me a lot of used to, obviously getting used to being away from home, being away from my family. But I lived in like a host family, so there's a few other girls who are in the same position as me, and I feel like
nice.
having the girls there who are obviously in the same boat, who know what it's been like just a year earlier, was able to make me feel so much better and make me feel at home, really.
Love that. So for us, it's going to be more like into football being like your career now. Like for us, we've obviously got Feel Good Club. We've been running the business for 4 years. And after like 3 years, we was absolutely exhausted, burnt out. And we was kind of like, I forgot what we do for fun anymore. Like, what is it that because if you don't know, we are married. We've been together 14 years. And it's very draining.
Life
I'm joking.
sentence.
And yeah, so sometimes we sat on the sofa one day at home and was like, what did we used to do before this? Like, what is our personalities? So anyway, we sat down and like wrote about things that like, we used to find fun, and football was one of them. So then we joined our friend's football team. Big up, Les Club 7. And we was like, how are we going to find big up, Les Club? How are we going to find time to like do the training, play the matches when we've got a business to run and we're already stressed out? But we took the time out, and since then, like we've made us realise how much we love that 45 minutes of being on that pitch, phones off, no social media, no one mithering us, just having fun with friends on a pitch. Like, do you still get that buzz from football, even though it's now your career? Do you still get that, like, when you're training or playing a match, or is it now just like pressure?
I think for me, like, I started playing football because I love it, and I feel like the moment I stop loving it, that'll be where I'm like, yeah, I'm done here.
I think that's so important.
I think it's just obviously even more beneficial that you end up getting paid for it. But yeah, I mean, the love I have for the game is beyond anything. And like, I feel like if you've not got that passion, you've not got that drive or motivation, then what is the point? So yeah, I still feel like it's a hobby to me.
I love that. What about you, Alanna?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think I don't think I would have lasted this long if I wasn't still enjoying it. And yeah, like you said, the time away from your phone, or just to switch off from anything that maybe is going on outside of football. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be around so many like-minded people. And I guess like we have a job where we're with like our best mates, or with like my national team, for example, I travel the world with some of my best mates for like the last 10, 12 years. Like, so yeah, I think there's so many things that come with it that make it even more fun. But yeah, always look forward to the competitive side as well. I think there's always something to look forward to in football. You know, you might bomb out of a tournament or whatever, but there's next season, and there's always something more to play for, or something around the corner. So yeah, kind of until your body kind of like, or you get, you know, your age, you know, you decide you want to retire or whatever. I think there's always something to look forward to. So it's just a fun job.
I love that.
Yeah.
Very jealous. Very jealous. I don't know why I'm here.
Hey, do you not get to hang out with your best mate and wife every day?
Yes, of course I do. I mean, do you have any more hobbies? Obviously, Lauren, I bet you're sick of hearing this question. But like, let's talk Lego for a minute, because it's insane. Like, is that your one hobby, or do you both have like different hobbies outside of football, where like on your days off or when you're having like downtime, is it something you're like?
Yeah, like what do you do for like a form of escapism? Like,
mine's like walk the dog.
Yeah,
if I'm stressed, I'm like, I'm walking the dog. Dog's sick of getting walked.
The dog's so fit. The dog is so healthy. She walks so much.
I love fashion, so I kind of like, I obviously enjoy shopping, but then like thrift stores, all that kind of stuff. I've recently enrolled in taking like a sewing class because I want to
Nice.
Yeah, just like little things, I think, just to kind of keep me busy, but also I guess feed another passion of mine. But other than that, I'm like good coffee, go for some meals, like watch. Can I say shit? I don't know.
Yeah,
watch shit TV. Like, I love like
anything.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm like, I have a bit of a potty mouth, so I'll refrain. Yeah, like I love like reality TV. Like I love all that like trashy TV.
Which favourite reality TV show?
Yeah, what's your go-to shit show?
Well, Love Island started
last
night, so
yeah.
So I'm obviously watching that, but
guilty pleasure.
Yeah. Have you watched Maths? Like Maths?
Yeah.
Oh, we
the
watched
Australian one.
Australian version
Australian
is the best
version
one.
is,
The most drama in there. It's great. Love it.
That's one of my faves.
Lauren's like, just Lego. Lego every single day. I'm just Legoing.
Pretty much, yeah. I've also brought a Nintendo Switch
Nice.
recently, so I've been on that a lot.
What games you playing?
Do you have I got an Xbox and Sandy's getting me to download. Do you have Fortnite? No.
No.
We were talking about it today, weren't we?
Not with me.
What's
Well,
Animal Crossing?
Oh yeah, I ain't got that.
I tried to play that. I couldn't
I
get
played
into it
Sandy
at
at
all.
Mario Kart the other day on the way back from the Durham game, but
Nice.
other than that, I'm a beginner, so
Yeah.
got FIFA as well.
Nice.
Obviously.
Played myself a few times.
I was going to say, have you played yourself?
It's got some bangers.
That's mint.
I know. Yeah, sometimes I score bangers on FIFA. I'm like,
Yeah, I like run with the
Nice.
goalkeeper and see if they can score.
So, Alanna, just to before you mentioned about when we were talking about being away from home and stuff, you said that the world of women's football is quite small, but it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it is incredible to see. And like you guys are like leading the way now for women's football. And we were talking earlier, weren't we? And I was like, I wish we had that when we were younger, like when we were like the only girls on the boys team.
God knows what professional football player we are.
Yeah.
You lot would have no chance over here.
We'd have been on the other side of the sofa.
Yeah, what are you saying to us? Yeah.
Let's get a ball. Let's have a think. But whilst that's incredible, does that feel like pressure for you that you're like the faces of it? You've got so many people looking up to you, young girls looking up to you. Is that pressure, or are you just like buzzing to be those people?
I always try to look at the positive side of it. I'd probably prefer not to put the pressure on myself. I think it's such a privilege to have. And we've also been on the other side. I feel like, well, probably myself a little bit. I'm a little bit older than Hempo, but just a little bit. Yeah, like I've been on the side where it's like you have not many people showing up at the games and sort of seeing that change. I'm sure you have as well. But yeah, and I think it's nice to just really like appreciate how far it's come, and it's a privilege to have so many people come and watch, young girls and boys be inspired. And I think as rewarding as it is for them to come and watch you play and whatever, it's just as nice for us to go and sign an autograph after the game and know that people care about what you're doing, because I think for so long it's gone unnoticed. So yeah, rather than putting the pressure on ourselves, I prefer to just really embrace it.
I love that. Like for us, we started Field Club just to be like a coffee shop, and then obviously now we're doing things with like Manchester City and stuff, and for us it's always just like this reality check of like, how the hell did we get here? Like for you guys as well, like obviously you was just playing football because it was a hobby, and now you're playing for like your country, and you're playing for this amazing football team. And then obviously then on top of that now, like during the Euros and the World Cup, we saw you on like Dorito packets and like branded like drinks and stuff, and it's like, wow, that's like for women's football, it's the next level. Like, how did it feel like getting thrusted into that limelight of that? Did you feel comfortable with it, or was you kind of like, I just want to play football, or was you kind of like, actually, I like this? Because I like this studio. I'm happy here. Bring me back. I'm fine here. Didn't expect it, but I'm absolutely fine with this limelight.
I think for me, like, I don't particularly like being in the limelight, so I'm always like, oh my God, that's me.
Like,
no one look at me when I'm
Nike,
walking on the street and things like that.
You're working with some massive brands.
And then my mum's at home like, oh my God, we need to go see the billboard that Lauren's on about an hour away. And I'm like, no, Mum, we don't need to do that. And then she'll be having photos outside it and be like, go on, Lauren, stand there, have a photo. And I'm just like, stop. So, obviously it's really nice, young girls and boys recognising you and seeing that it's possible. I think it's important for them to be able to see it, to believe it. And obviously with the way that the women's football's growing now, like things are on TV, and I think it's so important to have that, because I think obviously when Lance was younger, when I was younger, you didn't necessarily see a pathway to get to where you want to be. And I think now it's so important to have that, because it really makes girls and boys believe that you can achieve anything.
That's exactly what I'm like. Like, I hate doing this. I hate public speaking. Like, I was speaking to my therapist about it a few years ago and realised how much I hated it. And then, like, now I'm like, well, if I want to do what we're doing with the brand, I have to do it. So, like, now, when, like, before we go into stage or before we do things like this, I always, like, imagine how I'm going to feel afterwards. Obviously, I'm going to be back and be like, oh, my God, that was incredible. So, like, it kind of calms my nerves right down. And that's basically what this podcast is about. Like, Leave It Here is like, when you've got the derby day or when you've got a big game, you're going out to play for your country, you've trained for months and months and months. Like, when you first go onto that pitch, do you have like a ritual where you're like, this is how I'm going to calm myself down and get in the zone before you go into the pitch? Or are you just like, let's go? Like, do you get anxious? Do you get nervous about, obviously, you must have got nervous going into the World Cup. Like, or is it just kind of like all systems go? Like, do you both have different ways of working that out?
I think like what's the saying? I don't want to butcher it, so I'm not going to say it. But a lot,
Please butcher
when
it,
you prepare yourself, you know,
like getting into your zone, like
yeah. Well, if you go out there
fail
and
to
you're
prepare,
if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. Thanks, Hempo. Yeah, and I think like obviously that's what we train for. We train for those moments. And prepare ourselves for those big games. Obviously, you can't replicate it in training, but I think that's sort of what we do. And the more times you do it as well, like, you know, I've played in, you know, a handful of major tournaments now. And so it does, you sort of, with experience, you get obviously less and less nervous. So yeah, for me, I always feel if I'm confident in my body and what I've done to prepare myself in the team and what we've done in training, it takes away a lot of that uncertainty, and you're able to feel confident, which is obviously a huge part of the game.
I actually watched an interview. Sorry to cut you off. I actually watched an interview of you a few days ago where you were saying the more you love yourself, the more better you feel like you do on the pitch.
Oh, did I say that?
You said that, and I loved it. And I was like, that's
Bloody
very feel
brilliant
good of you.
quote.
Yeah, you're taking our jobs here, Alanna. That's our job. When you said it, I think it was going into the next World Cup, the one that's just gone, and you were saying that like the more confident you're feeling in yourself and the more you're loving yourself, the more better you think you're doing on the pitch. And I thought that was. I said to Kira, that's so feel good club. I need to mention that. And I love that. Like, I agree. The more confident and more I'm loving myself, the more confident I'm doing with these, like doing things like this.
Yeah, and I'm big on like I love the whole like look good, feel good, play good. Like I always want to like prepare myself for the game, like all the
fake time.
yeah. I honestly, I like, and that's a huge part of the preparation, so that you go out there and you feel ready and prepared.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like confidence to me is massive on the pitch. I feel like especially being like a winger, like trying to express yourself. If you haven't got any confidence, then you're not going to be able to do anything. So, to be fair, I used to have this bit of tape that I put around my wrist, and I literally wrote just "Be brave" on it.
Oh
and that's
God,
something that I did
that.
for a couple of years. I kind of stopped now.
Oh my God, I love that.
But yeah, that was something that I did pretty much every single game. And if I ever felt in a game like, don't know, I just missed a few chances or something like that, I'd just look at it and like just remembered to just be brave and be confident, because like Lance said earlier, like you're here for a reason. The team wants you to be here. You're starting for a reason. So yeah, just go out and show it. But for me, like I'm always maybe sometimes struggling with confidence or got a lot of confidence. It just depends on the week, really. So for me, things like that help just sort of relax my nerves a bit.
I absolutely love that.
Amazing that you no longer do it now, because you've got to a point where you're like, oh no, I know it.
Oh no, wait a minute, I'm fourth player of the year, whatever you are. I got an NBA now. Forget that. Yeah.
Like you've built yourself to a place now, obviously, where you don't need that, and you go on and you can be confident. But what, like, do you ever, before a game, like you're having a bad day, like surely you must wake up some days and be like, I don't feel great today. What do you do before a game if you're not having a good day when you wake up? Or are you just already prepared, like you say? Are you prepared for the match days before and you don't get in that headspace?
No, there's definitely, like, obviously right now I'm coming back from an injury. So I think there's always, things that vary throughout the season. And so I think, for example, going into a game when you haven't played for a while, for me as a defender, I always like to stay.
Well, just so you know.
Yeah, I love that because,
Nothing like you, but we're the defenders.
But obviously it's important to communicate on the field. Our communication is one of our roles. And so I think for me, when maybe I'm not feeling as I need to work on my fitness, I'm build back into that to being a starting player or whatever it is, to get your 90 minutes. It's what you do sort of up top with your concentration. Okay, well, if I'm not going to be as agile or as sharp this week, at least I can be, sharper up top and make sure that I'm communicating to others so that I can possibly stop something higher up the pitch so it doesn't get to me or whatever. Sorry, I know I'm getting into football. Like, I know.
Oh no, we know exactly what you're talking about, Alanna. Don't worry about us. We know exactly what you're talking about.
But you have to change, I guess, your mindset depending on how you feel on that day. Mm-hmm. Like I said, whether you're coming back from an injury, or low on confidence or whatever it may be. So there's definitely days where you have to adapt to how you're feeling.
I think that's really important about when you say about changing your mindset. Like some days, obviously running a business, we've got a team of 16 in the coffee shop, and some days I come in and I'm not feeling great. And we always get asked, like, what do you see as like a leader? And for me, it's like being open with your emotions. Mm-hmm. So sometimes if I'm having a bad day, I'll come in and say to the team, it's nothing about you, I'm just not feeling great. I might need you to be like a little bit more hands-on for me. And that's kind of like what you're saying, like it's about communicating, like how can I help up the team so it doesn't come near me as much and I can take a breath. Like
you are so good at that. Like I'm really, I even though we own Feel Good Club and we do all of this, I find it so hard to talk about how I'm feeling. But if you're having a bad day, you'll let everybody know, because I think there's nothing worse than going into a place where the leader or the boss, whoever it is not in a great mood and everyone's sat there thinking, is it about me? Have I done something wrong? But you're so good at like communicating it. So Just picking you up a
Thanks,
little bit
thanks
there,
for that,
actually.
thanks for
Sorry, it's about you guys. I'm sorry. I'll save that.
Was that Amy?
We're just having a moment. Okay, then. So let's talk about goals because you've both achieved so much. Alanna, you've played in some incredible major tournaments. Lauren, you've got like an MBE. Like, it doesn't get much bigger than that.
I'd be
like,
done. I'd be like, I'm having a Sunday off. Got an MBE
like,
now.
Player of the year. Like, does that feel like pressure to like keep raising the bar a little bit, or are you just like, I'm enjoying it, I'm having fun, and whatever else comes my way?
Yeah, I think like there's always something more you can achieve, and I think you've got to find what motivates you to keep going. And there's still so many trophies. Like as a team, I want to win, and obviously there's individual trophies as well. But that comes with winning team things, which are obviously more important. And I feel like when you've got that drive and the desire to win things, that's what motivates me to come in every day and think, yeah, give it a go. Like work your hardest, and you never know where you might end up. So. Like obviously us as City, we've won FA Cup, Conti Cup. I've never won the league with City. That's something that I want to do. That's
It's
my
coming, it's
motivator
coming,
for this
man, don't
year.
It's coming.
Obviously being the Champions League. So I feel like every year there's always something to aim for. And like you said, it's so important to make goals because at the end of the day, what are you doing if you're not setting yourself targets and things like that to achieve? Because obviously football's such a short career that at the end of it, I want to look back and know that I've given it my best shot and tried to achieve everything that I wanted to.
I absolutely love the answer. And like like you said, like there's so many highs. Like when you hit a low, for you, is it like, I'm going to pick myself up and motivate myself to go back at it again? Is that like kind of that's kind of what I'm getting, like your personality is like, okay, I'm going to aim high. And if I don't get it that time, I'm just going to keep pushing myself until I do get it type vibe. Or some people, it's like, oh, I didn't win the World Cup, so that's it.
I mean, yeah, like things like that. Obviously, you work so hard and you're away for months on end, and obviously we came second at the World Cup. But then, obviously, for a moment, you're upset about it. But then it's like, right, it just gives me something that I know next time I'm gonna want it even more. Like push myself even further. And like I said, like there's always more that you can be doing. And yeah, as much as it is like a downfall, you've always got to look at the positives from it.
How do you celebrate your wins? Because I always find this in competitive sport as well. Like for us, when we lose a game or
Fuming.
we came second in the our little mini league, and I was furious. But like, when do you find time to celebrate your wins? Like you win the Euros, absolutely incredible, and then you're training, you're back at City. Do you find time as a team or personally to like sit back and process everything? Because it's all go, go, go. Like, what's that process like for you both of like, I'm going to take myself away and be like, oh my God, I've smashed this.
I mean, with our schedule, there's just always something coming up, to be honest. So it leaves, I think it'll be, there are moments where you sort of sit back and like, obviously for us in Australia, the World Cup and what it did for football in our country was groundbreaking. And I think it's very rare that you get the moments to actually sit back and sort of understand what's happened or be able to celebrate exactly what you've done. So yeah, I think sometimes it's a case of, maybe when we finish our career, we can sit back and enjoy all the wins. But like Hempo said, I think for us as well, we're always chasing like the next thing. So I'm always looking forward to next season, or, we've finished fourth in our last two major tournaments with the Matildas, which is almost the worst placing. You wouldn't rather finish eighth, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's just, you've just missed each time. And so for us, it's, we're looking forward to the next opportunity and always wanting, the next chance where we can get what we want, what we, set ourselves out to achieve. And we've just fallen short a few times. So I think that desire and hunger to get ourselves back there is always at the forefront. But, when we do get a small break, which is rare, it's nice to kind of just take yourself away from the game and enjoy some time with family and
Holidays.
switch off. Yeah.
Okay, so just on that, like I think you both should today set yourself a little 5 minutes to just celebrate yourselves, because sitting here chatting to you both, watching everything that you've both achieved from afar, like I think you're both incredible and you're inspiring so many people. So if you promise me one thing today, just like 5 minutes
Flip the
to
kettle
just
later.
be like, yeah,
Just be like, how
sit
great am I?
down, have a
Yeah.
brew, and just go, do you know what? I'm doing a really, really good job. So we're coming to the end of the podcast now. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us and chat to us. But we do one thing, a little ritual at the end of this podcast with every single guest. We always say, leaving it here for the podcast, we like our guests to write something down that they might be holding on to, something that they want to let go of. And we've got this plastic box here, which we're not going to destroy because we're world conscious, but at the end of this series, we're going to take all of those out and we're going to burn it from each of our guests. So it's letting go of something that you're holding on to. So I'm going to give you both a little piece of paper. You can write something down that maybe you want to get rid of or let go of at the moment. You don't have to share it, but if you feel comfortable, then you can. And then you're going to pop it in the box and we're going to get rid of it.
Okay, what am I going to write?
Lauren's straight in. I like it.
Yeah,
Look at
wow,
this.
okay. I'm
She
just
knows what she's saying.
It's
She's saying the
hard when you're
podcast.
perfect. So
yeah.
no. That was a joke.
Complete
Let's
silence.
say.
Pressure.
So what do we want to do? Do you want to choose to share or put straight in the box?
I'll share mine.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I think for me, I put putting unrealistic expectations on myself because I
Love that.
always I just want everything to be, my standards sometimes are too high. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
We were
absolutely
talking
love
about this the other day. I always say that like unrealistic expectations creates an unrealistic reality. Like if I'm going to bed at night going like, oh, tomorrow's gonna be the best day ever, it's not gonna rain or snow in this case, and then I wake up and it's something that I actually just can't control. Like there's so many outside factors that I can't control, and if I want to try and make everything perfect every time, I can't control everything, so ultimately I'm gonna end up disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
I just wrote lack of confidence because I feel like that's not that I've got lack of confidence now, but like I sort of float between the both, having confidence, not having much of it, and I think just excuse my language, but a lot of the time I need to think more like fuck it, like don't worry about what anyone thinks, just do your own thing. Like, and when I think like that, I end up playing my best football. So I feel like I need to have that attitude more often than not.
I think we're very similar with that. Like I'm such like a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I think about like what everybody else thinks about what I'm wearing or what I'm doing or could I done that ball better? Like I am the worst at it. So I agree. Like I think as well, I'm like 34 now and I think like the older I'm getting, the more I'm caring less about what other people think because everyone's kind of just doing their own thing. I think at certain categories in your life, like everyone's like kind of looking at each other for like inspiration, where I think at certain points then you're just like, actually, this is what I want to go and do. So this is what I'm just going to go and do. So I love that. And I'd write that as well.
Right, let's put it in the box.
Put it in the box. Me first, yeah.
Oh, sorry,
Oh, such a defender. Thank you so much for being
Thanks for
here.
having
I
us.
really appreciate
yeah,
it.
thank you guys.
And come down for a
Good
coffee
chat.
whenever you want.
We'll do. Yeah,
You said you like good coffee.
I do
It's
like
not
good
but-
coffees. So,
I'll make it then.
Yeah, don't let me make
if
it.
she's on the machine.
No, I think I was pretty happy with my coffee when I came. We had
Pretty
wine.
happy. I
Yeah.
don't want.
No,
I want
no,
it
like
static.
'cause
I'll make it next time.
I know the places that I leave thinking I won't be going back. I didn't have. Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you. Try better next time.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Love that.
Yay!